now. After Rishi Sunak's Rwanda plan failed to appease the Tory right and cost him his immigration minister and friend Robert Jenrick, the embattled PM appeared to plead for Labour's support to get his emergency bill passed through Parliament.
Real question when it comes to all these votes is for the Labour Party. The real question when it comes to Parliament, question for all of you to ask, is what are the Labour Party going to do about this vote?
Look, I think he's got a point. I absolutely think he's got a point about that. You know, Labour don't appear to have a clear plan. He's right to point it out. The issue for him is that the Tories have been in for 13 years and he's in charge now. So that's always going to be a problem. But Sunak also denied that he was ready to make Tuesday's vote on this emergency Rwanda bill a back me or sack me scenario. But fears are growing that the Tories could face electoral oblivion if the flight don't get off the ground.
The Conservative Party faces electoral oblivion in a matter of months if we introduce yet another bill destined to fail. Do we fight for sovereignty, or do we let our party die?
Well, a startling Ipsos poll today revealed that Sunak's popularity has plummeted 13 points this year. So should the party think about replacing him as Prime Minister, or would that consign them to electoral oblivion? Let me know your thoughts. GBViews at GBNews.com. Lots of good ones in there already, by the way. Or tweet me at GBNews. Go and take part in our poll. I'll bring you the results very shortly. But first, here to duke it out, I bring in former UKIP leader and border control expert Henry Bolton and Tory grandee David Mellor. Chaps, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this. Henry, should they get rid of Sunak? Would it spell electoral oblivion if they did that?
In a word, they should do. I'll explain why. I think it is absolutely crucial for the good of the country going forward that we avoid, ideally, a Labour, a socialist victory in the next general election. And if they do win, which is looking increasingly likely at the moment, then that victory, the damage that they can cause, needs to be mitigated by a strong opposition. Now, at the moment, the Conservative track record over the last 13 years has not been particularly good, particularly on the topic of the day, which is immigration. And the thing is with Rishi Sunak, he's simply not credible when he says, he's doing all of these things for two reasons. One is that he's had the opportunity to do this already. As we've heard from Suella Braverman, he's been asked to do this repeatedly and failed to do it. Now, all of a sudden, the lions are at the gate and he's got to do something. So he's thrown this out there. It's not credible for him to go forward and claim that this is all his work. Second thing is that, quite honestly, he's not got the charisma or the character to take it forward. What the conundrum is, though, that you were quite right in your lead-up, there is a massive hit for the Conservative Party as well if they change leader.
OK.
They're damned if they do, damned if they don't, but they've got to go one way or t'other.
And I'll go to David Mellor. Look, just respond to that. And Henry obviously thinks that get rid of Sunak, try something else.
Well, I mean, how many times can they do that? I mean, this is a joke, a totally ludicrous situation where a government seems to think it can throw out its leader every couple of weeks and yet maintain some prospect of keeping the confidence of the country. Look, if they get rid of Sunak, the Conservative Party might as well collectively commit suicide, every one of them, put some chains around their ankles and jump off Westminster Bridge. At least that would be an amusing spectacle. This is where, if I may say so, there is a difference between those of us who are actually in practical politics, and I spent 9 years as a member of Mrs. Thatcher's government. The idea that she'd ever have allowed any of this nonsense is quite wrong. And those who are largely theoreticians, people who think, well, it'd be interesting if, or what if, or what if. At the end of the day, politics is a practical business. And the failure of the Conservative Party to come to terms with the reality of their situation and fail to recognise that unless they can all rally behind Sunak, then they've had it. This is the way it is. And the fact that Sunak isn't my ideal choice as a leader, of course he isn't. He's not really a leader. But at the end of the day,
the problem, David. Yeah, David, I do appreciate all of that. I do. You have put up what is obviously a very realistic and an understandable side of it. OK. But you've said several things there, which is that, this is a mess. He's not a leader. I mean, it does sound like there's a choice between getting rid of Rishi, trying something else and hoping that works, Henry, or facing the inevitable electoral oblivion that is coming. Henry.
Indeed. It's the lesser of the two evils, isn't it, that there's got to be sort of selected here. Rishi Sunak is, at the moment, going down in the polls in his own popularity, and he's driving the Conservative Party that way as well. The Conservative Party is facing, effectively, electoral oblivion if they don't change him. So is there someone there who we don't need to go into speculation now in this debate as to who it might be, but is there someone there who actually could say to the country, look, we got it wrong, but I am credible, I have a credible team, and you know what, for the first time, I'm presenting you with, not with a list of promises, but with a credible plan, that the how, what, where, and when, and all the rest of it. Now, that's never come out of Sunak's mouth. And that is one of the reasons he's not credible. He keeps promising things and never delivering. The country and the Conservative voters who didn't turn out in the by-elections are going to want somebody who they can actually trust.
OK, David, come back to that then.
Well, the prospects of that working are slim and none, and Slim's left town, you know? I mean, this is hopeless. This is a joke. One day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, it was all a terrible dream. The idea that having had all of the problems that the Conservatives have had in office, having got rid of 2 prime ministers, they can get rid of a 3rd. This is a joke. This is for theoreticians, people who've never had any practical experience of elected politics, but who come up with this junk. And this is junk. Junk.
But David, what's your answer?
Let David finish. Go on, David.
Sorry. I mean, what can I say except this is such total and utter rubbish.
Right, OK, I think you had finished, actually. Henry, go on.
Yeah, David, so what is your answer then to the situation in the polls and the fact that Conservative voters aren't turning out to support the Conservative Party? That is because, as you quite rightly said, the leadership is fundamentally flawed.
Someone who
that needs
hasn't
to change.
tried before.
Go on, David. Yeah.
Sorry, am I speaking or is this gentleman...
You speak now. Henry's made his point. Go on.
Jump on at least someone who served some time in government and in Parliament. The reality is it doesn't work. You know, it's not a sort of leading article in The Sun or something like that. What we're trying to do is find a party that can run the country. And the best way for the Conservatives to demonstrate they have no chance whatsoever of running the country is to get rid of yet another leader. It's a joke.
OK.
Joke.
David,
all right.
It's
David,
totally lacks any credibility whatsoever.
We're going to park it because I think you've both actually done exactly what we wanted, which is hold a mirror up to a very polarising discussion that is gripping people who vote Tory in this country, especially, which is, look, do we ditch him? Will it work? Would we look even more ridiculous than we do now? Or actually, do we carry on? Both of you, thank you very, very much. That is former UKIP leader and border control expert Henry Bolton there alongside Tory grandee David Mellor. Who do you agree with? As Rishi Sunak comes out swinging in defence of his small boats policy, would changing leaders again consign the Tories to the electoral dustbin? Well, you've all been piling on with your comments. Adrian on Twitter says, how many times can they play musical chairs without consulting voters? I've been a Tory all my life, but even I think they are taking the mickey. Yeah, I think the election thing, we did a poll last night, didn't we? And more of you wanted an election than a change of leader. Lionel says, no, it wouldn't mean electoral oblivion because somebody could turn it around. Suella and Kemi, they mentioned there. I'll just skip through one more quickly now. There is no going back for the Conservative Party now. Oblivion no matter what. That's Nick. Let's get to the poll. Oh, it's another close one. 47% of you think that changing leaders would consign the Tories to electoral oblivion. 53% of you say that it wouldn't. Really interesting to see how split you are on the general election topic and now this.